like taking this social psychology section today. Yeah. And I only know English. I don't know Telugu. I'm from Kerala. I know English and Malayalam. Then communicate with me in English and understand Telugu or Hindi. So, and I think the medium of this instruction is English for the social psychology class. I will start from the beginning.
Sir, one second. So, from which university you
are? University of Hyderabad.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So, I will start from the beginning. Okay. We'll start from the definition of social psychology. So, social psychology, again, it's a study of how a person's thought, behavior, and feelings are changed in the presence of another person. That's the simplest way that we can put the definition of social psychology. How a person's behavior, thought, and feelings are changed or influenced in the presence of another individual. So the presence of another individual, it can be real, imagined, or virtual. Okay. Just the presence only. It doesn't mean that person have to be there physically. It can be an imagined presence also. So that is the basic definition of social psychology. And if we take the history of social psychology, we divide that into 3 landmarks. Okay, because the history of psychology is also the same for history of social psychology, but there are certain landmark or certain important things that have happened in the development of social psychology. So we call those things as 3 landmarks in social psychology. And the first one is in 1898, the first social psychological experiment happened. Okay. In 1898, the first social psychological experiment happened. And in 1908, 1908, the first social psychological textbook was published. Okay, the first social psychological textbook was published, and it was published by 2 psychologists. One was Ross, and another one was McDowell. And another part, the next major landmark in the history of social psychology is the Hitler and World War II. So in this time, in the Hitler and World War II, at that particular context, a lot of social psychologists, like people who literally created the field of social psychology, have emerged. And we have Kurt Lewin, Fritz Heider, Solomon Asch, and these are the one major figures of social psychology. And even we consider Kurt Lewin as the father or founder of modern social psychology. Kurt Lewin, we consider him as the founder of modern social psychology. So we can keep briefly the history of social psychology in these 3 landmarks, but there are a lot of other important experiments, important engagements happened in these years that I will share with you all in the material, so you can read and because it's history or the theoretical aspects. So then we have to come to the methodology of social psychology. What are the methods that we use in social psychology? So that is very important. So usually in psychology, we have different sets of research methods. Okay, different sets of research methods we will go with. But in social psychology, the problem is we are trying to know the social behavior. So it is not easy to study a person in a laboratory setting, because we are studying about the social behavior of a person. So that person should be in a social settings with a group of people. We can't do any kind of social psychological study in a laboratory setting. We can do, but still all social psychologists will prefer to do those experiments in a natural habitat, natural setting. Okay. So the basic research methods that we usually use in social psychology, the first one is systematic observation. Okay. The first one is systematic observation, where we do a proper structured way of observation, that we will have a specific goal, we will have a specific objectives, we will have specific aim, we will have specific hypothesis and everything. So we will have an aim where to observe, what to look, and what to note down. So that is what we call systematic observation, and it's a trained research method. And another method one is like correlation method, that we identify certain psychological factors and we try to correlate them each other, and we will see how these things are connected to each other. So that is the one uh, correlation method that we use. And another one is experimental method. So here the experimental method doesn't mean a laboratory experimental method, but we create a social situation. Artificially, we create a social situation in a context, and then we observe, or we will see how things are happening in uh, that settings. Only the researcher will be knowing that the setting is uh, artificial. People will be behaving normally because they won't be knowing that it is an artificial setting. So that way that we can do experimental study. So, and the another one way that we do is like social psychology. When we want to know that in-depth issues of a social issue, a social problem, like different kind of social issues. So for those kind of issues, we approach with a social critical approach. We call it critical theory approach, or critical analysis. So that is one way that we use in social psychology to identify the uh, problems and what are the things that is happening in the social world. So these are the various research methods that we go through in social psychology. This is the symbol outline of the block one, which is introduction, and block two is social perception. Social perception consists a couple of things. Okay, so basically, the social perception is how a person like process the information or use those information that a person is getting from outside world in the context of a social settings. Okay, so social cognition or social perception is the basic foundation of social cognition. If perception happens, then only the cognitive process happens. So perception is the foundation of cognitive process, all kind of cognitive process. So perception is very important. So social perception we can simply define in a way that how we form impressions of and make inferences about other people. Okay, so social perception is how an individual form impressions and make inferences or meaning or assumptions about other people. So this is what social perception is, and there are major uh, points or major concepts in social perception. So I will briefly go through all the major social perception psychological process. The first one is stereotype. So one major social perception that we study in social psychology is stereotypes. So what is stereotypes? So stereotypes are beliefs about people based on their membership in a particular group. Okay, so we belong to a particular gender, we belong to a particular community, class, caste, religion, socio-economic status. So a group of people who belongs to a particular group can have a kind of different impression or different assumptions about the other group. Okay, so that can be positive or negative, can be a good perception or a negative perception. That is what we call stereotypes. So stereotype doesn't mean negative, or stereotype doesn't mean bad. Stereotype means like a kind of prototype, but it have a psychological elements, like there will be some emotions will be there. There will be an emotional content towards a particular perception, a particular group of people. So it's not just a kind of uh, feeling. They have a kind of knowledge about the other group, and they have this. That is what we call stereotypes. And how we create, like how we do the social perception, actually is the how we identify social perceptions. Because the social perceptions is not about the things that is around us; it's about humans. It's about the humans around us, around an individual, or it's any kind of living things around a human being will come into social psychology. So we need information through their body language or their verbal language, like non-verbal or verbal communication. That is the one way that we understand people. So the major, the most popular way is that people take information from other people. Is one facial expression and the expressions that comes in our face. Another one is gestures, our hand movements and everything. And then body language and posture, how we are standing and what we are standing, and the body language and everything. And proxemics. Proxemics is where is where is the other person is standing. Where is the other person is standing very close, or is far, or it's very far. So based on that, we can identify what relationship those two people are. If it is very close, then we know that the other person is a very intimate person or someone very close. The proxemics, eye gaze. So different kind of eye gazes will give information. And haptics. Haptics again, it's a kind of sensation, so like kind of touch haptics basically, hugging and everything, those kind of things. And appearance. Appearance means how we present ourselves to the society or how we present to the other people. So these are the major uh, resources that we can get information about society, and that is how our social perception develops. So this is the basics of, you can say, the uh, social perception.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
Generally, sir, sometimes people may even misinterpret the non-verbal communications, like if they are thinking something else, and the
Mm-hmm.
body posture or the way they are present in sitting, or
Mm-hmm.
they are not noticing the
Mm-hmm.
way somebody is looking at them.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, that will be a challenge of misinterpretation. So
See.
how we can over means like how as a psychologist, how we
Mm-hmm.
have to differentiate this behavior.
Okay. See, this
Yes, how we
social,
can understand.
yeah, I got it. So social behaviors are basically we see this is actually connected with the childhood basically. So social behaviors are learned. It's not innate. Humans don't get social behaviors by birth. We learn. We learn through different exposures. So a child who is exposed to social situations, social exposure, that the parents are taking the child to different places, meeting different people. So the child will learn to identify the social cues. Okay, so that is very important. So a person have to know how what are the social cues, and we learn those social cues into our childhood. So if a person is not allowed to mingle with their peer group or the society or the outside world, then they won't be able to know how to interact with people. They don't know how to pick the social cues. Their social perception is completely shattered. So they will misinterpret things or they miss things. So it's actually happening with the social. So they what they need is social skill. They need a social skill. So we teach
No,
them.
sir, no, not about the people who are experiencing about themselves, how people are interpreting. Like,
Uh-huh,
suppose, you are there in the class. We both are in the same class, and
uh-huh,
you are thinking about some of the students about their assessments and all. You are into a different one. And I came from the other class and I was talking to you, and
mhm,
I misinterpreted your way of action because you are not noticing me and some kind of body posture or
mhm,
the face expression where you are upset or you are very happy. Where if I'm sharing a sad moment with you, and that time you were very happy, thinking about
Mm-hmm.
the your students' achievement. Means it's about you are into a different thought process. You are not
Mm-hmm.
connected to me, but
Okay.
me interpreting you because of your behavior. Like we are learning about the non-verbal communication. So
Mm-hmm.
at that particular time, if I am trying to analyze like what is a response from you, if I means how to means like avoid it.
So
Uh,
the thing is like, see,
Means to
the
think in a right way, or I can stop disconnect the content, like noticing the state of your mind, whether you are connected.
yeah,
That
because
is the
see,
reason for your
that's
this
the
thing.
thing. Yeah, that's the thing. One, we can ask the other person whether they are comfortable or not, or they are in a if there is any possibility that we can intervene into that, we can. Otherwise, it's better not to pay attention. If it is a child or something, then obviously. But if it is an adult or something, you can ask, is there anything that we can do? If there is nothing, then better to leave that person. No. Yeah.
Oh, oh.
Am I clear? Also
Yes, sir,
clear.
because basically emotions are the interlinked with the non-verbal communication. So that is the
Yeah,
reason
obviously. No, no, like
I
emotions are
had
like,
this.
see, everything is connected in psychology. Like even these things are put in different names, in different syllabuses or different texts. It is for the academic activity and for the research activity. It's like we are studying social psychology, or we are studying emotion, cognition, personality, psychopathology, or whatever the different papers that we study in psychology. The people put those different papers to keep to study, to make a discipline, to make an academic discipline. But these things are not happening like this in the reality. Okay. So we can't predict that what will influence or what will interact with which thing from psychology, like within a human, within an individual. What we know is like we have a certain knowledge, and we are using those knowledge to regulate and manipulate and those psychological factors. So everything is interlinked. Okay, so we can't take emotion separately, or non-verbal communication separately, or communication separately, or abstract thinking separately, or reasoning separately, or problem solving separately. No, we can't do like that. When for in a human being, everything happens simultaneously in a multidimensional, in multifaceted way. It's not like the way that we study in psychology. So these things are arranged in such a way to to make it easy to learn. That's it. Don't believe that this is the way that humans are working. Different. This is theory, and outside reality is different. But those things are here. We should know what are those things, and once we know what are the things that is happening in the social world with regard to psychology, we have the knowledge, we have the knowledge, then we can do many things. Okay. So in social perception, there are a lot of things are there. So one is like person perception, different kind of perception. The another one is attribution. The another one is communication, and then is impression formation. So there is uh, four major content in social perception. So attribution is basically how people attribute or give uh, cause, like causality for anything. So for example, if a student failed in an exam, the student may blame to the teacher, or to the friend, or to the pen, or to the bus, or anything. Or maybe the student will blame oneself, like I didn't study, so I failed. So, or if a person is like got first rank or something, and the person will say like, yeah, I studied hard and my parents helped me. So where where a person is attributing things So there are different kind of attribution and different kind of attribution theories, fundamental attribution theory, Kelly's theory of causal attribution, correspondent inference, self-perception theory. So these are very in-depth, detailed theory, and it will take a lot of time to explain. So, uh, like I said, like I will
You
give the
got it, sir,
materials.
because I'll just
Haha,
go through those theories.
haha.
I just
So
want that.
all these theories. So then there is communication and nature of communication. So communication is not just the usage of language. It's there will be a receiver, receiving end. There will be the other sending sender end, another end, and then there is this process. So uh, communication is the major psychological process that that give issues or the problems in social world. The If you check all the social issues that is existing in social world, the majority of those problems are happening only because of the miscommunication. And miscommunications can happen in any way because there is lot of information is happening and lot of information is there. So if there is any problem with decoding the information or receiving the information or sending the information, there will be communication errors. The communication is also coming under social perception. And the next one is impression formation and impression management. So we usually say the first impression is the best impression, but in psychology, it's not in that way. First impression can't make a lot of best impression, but we say that when we present ourselves to another person, it should, it's not it should, that first appearance or the first presence of a person have an impact on another person. So we don't know whether it will make an impression or not, but it will make a impact. So because like later on when they meet each other, the impression can change. When we meet a person for the first time, we will have a different kind of impression. And after having a lot of discussions and meetings and everything, we change our impression. We know what the person is. So, but there will be definitely there will be a first impression, but that first impression won't last long. But if we can create an impression and we can maintain that impression, so that is what the main impression management is talking about. So there are a lot of impression management techniques are there. That, so these are the major areas in social perception. It is already finished, I think. Yeah. And the next one is social process. I think from here I have to start. Okay.
Sir,
So
excuse me, I
social,
have a question here.
sorry, yeah,
What
yes,
is the
yes.
difference between impression and impact? And can you state an
Yeah,
example
yeah,
differentiating between these two,
yeah,
please?
yeah. So impact is that a person is identifying that something is happened to them. It's a kind of impact is like a stimulus. We say like it made an impact on a person. So it made a change, it made a momentum. It made a momentum on that person. So impact doesn't mean like impression. Impression have a meaning. Impression have a value. Impact is a process. Impact can lead to impression, but impression and impact is two different things. Impact is like something that happens suddenly without our knowledge or without our expectation. That is an impact. That will make that impact is the process. It's a process like what we call energy or something like that. Movement or momentum. Impact is not a psychological process, but impression is a psychological process. Okay, you can make an impact like you can take a stick and make an impact on the wall. So it's like an action. Impact is more of a momentum. But the impression is a psychological process which have a proper uh, content in that, which have a proper system of cognitive activities, emotional activities, and value system and everything. Am I clear?
Okay, so may I ask you other things? So, like
Yeah.
impression is first or impact is first? So which one converts into the other?
No, it won't. It is not in that way. See, one thing that we have to understand is no psychological process happens in a linear model. Okay.
Okay.
There is no linear model in psychology. There is no linearity in psychology. Can we take a linear model in our daily life? It's not possible because
No,
everything
not
is connected to everything. The room temperature, the room lighting, and the person sitting next to you, or the food that we had in the morning, or anything else. So a person's behavior is
Sir, I have a doubt. Can you please explain the information regarding impact and impression one more time? Hello?
the food.
So your voice is breaking.
No.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We are
Yes,
audible.
yes, we are here, sir.
Sorry, I there was some issue with the connection. So
Sir, can you please explain the information about impact and impression one more time, sir?
see, impact is a physical action basically, or see impact. What we say like uh, impact is a like dictionary term. Simply, it's a simple dictionary term like impact. If you take any psychology book, you don't see impact as a psychological process. It's a dictionary term that we use in our day-to-day life. Impact. It made an impact. It made an impact. But impression is a psychological process. It's not a simple dictionary term. It's a dictionary term, but it is a technical psychological term. Impression is not something that happen within a second. It will take time. Impact is a sudden thing that something impacted on me, like something happened in my life. It was an impact on my life. It's like a literature term. But impression is a psychological process. It will take time. It is not easy. Okay, so it's like the something is happened there. The person is perceiving, and then person is taking that information inside and processing and associating that information and relating that and identifying the emotions and a lot of internal psychological processes are happening in impression. But impact is just an activity. That's it. Am I clear?
Okay. Yes, sir.
But
Thank you.
sir, impression could be the root cause of any impact. So,
Sorry,
like
sorry.
impression could be the root cause of an impact. Suppose a person makes a perception on the other person, means
Mhm.
they have, and that could lead to the series of activity which can affect and impact their personal, social, and life.
Actually, your
These
sound is
both are
very low.
interlinked.
Your sound are very low. Can you it once again? Sorry. Can you? Yeah.
Impact and the perception, like impression, they both are interlinked.
Yeah, that's what I said in the beginning.
As
It
far
is
as I
not linear. Everything is connected in psychology. But what we are saying, what we are doing is we are taking certain patterns of behavior. So when we say behavior, there will be action, there will be emotion, and there will be uh, cognitive activity, which is higher mental process. So these are all connected with everything. Okay. So impact. So I don't know whether you are taking impact in a way that in a in a literature term, like it made an impact on me. So that is not we use in psychology. There is a specific term for that. That impact on a person. There is a different term for that. That is, we don't the word impact. So that impact we can say like emotional damage, or it will be a that impact kind of thing that we usually use in our day-to-day life. It is that we are talking about like a surprise or a shock, something like that. Okay, it is there. It is also there, but impression formation is a social psychological process. It's it's not a it's a pure social cycle. For an impression formation should happen, there should be a social context. But for an impact, no, you can read and you can still get an impact. But for an impression formation, you are making an impression of other person. So we are talking about in the context of human beings, society, group of people. So because the response of the other human have impact on you, but there won't be any response from chair or tree or a scooter or car, or even from the response from a animal or birds, it won't make much impact on you. But from the human, definitely it will make impact. So impression formation only happens in the context of human beings, and impact can happen at any point, anything. It is a general psychological process, but impression formation only happens in the context of social settings. Am I clear?
Yes, sir.
Sorry. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay, sir. Okay, go ahead, please.
Yeah. So that is what impression formation. And now that we have this socialization process, so better, I think this is the one better way that we can have this class, because explaining each theory will take a lot of time. But if you have any particular things to ask, in that way I can explain, so we can cover the whole syllabus. Because explaining each concepts in the syllabus will take at least 6 months to finish this whole syllabus.
Yes, sir. So tomorrow we are going to cover up this socialization, so that we will have we'll go through the what are the lessons we are going to cover through.
So
We
you
can.
people already have a material, or do I
Yes,
have to
yes, sir.
give a material?
We do have a material.
So I
But
am
if you can
sharing.
give the more
Yeah. So
summarized
I'm
thought.
sharing my mail ID here. So uh, so this is my mail ID, and you can anyone from the class can send me a mail. So I can create a Google Drive, and I will share the materials and reading materials and everything on the Google Drive, so you can access at any time, any point of time. Is that fine?
Great, sir. And you can share your material also, sir. We are having textbooks which are shared by university. I think
Okay.
your material
So
will
would
also
you
will
like
help us.
so would you like a brief material that you want brief material, so you will get all the major areas later you can read and understand? You
Yes,
want
sir.
like that or a detailed note?
So initially, it's better to have the brief note of it, sir.
Brief note of everything, and then
Yeah.
later, if you need any kind of explanation, definitely we can have discussion. So that because social psychology can't be learned through reading process, it's only through discussions. Yeah. That's the one major issue. So I will wind up today's session. Is that fine? Because we will have the session tomorrow, and I will be sharing materials on the drive. So if people are going through it and prepared, then we can have a discussion. So you can finish the whole syllabus like that, and you will get a better understanding of theories and everything. Of just, is that fine? Are you comfortable with that, or do you have any other suggestions?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes. I'm here. Yeah.
sir, one more thing, sir. Regarding about this material, briefy notes and detailed notes you are asking, sir. Brief is sufficient for the examination purpose, sir. We need to go for detailed notes.
Exam depends, because if they are asking for the description of something, then you have to describe with a detailed explanation.
Yeah, that's we are having doubts, sir. We are employees, so we have very short time to read.
Depends
Yeah,
upon how
understood.
many
But
marks
the
you
thing is,
want.
like, see, the thing is like you don't have to. You just have to know the major concepts or major terminologies and names, and later you can write in your own way.
Oh, sir. Sir, if you don't mind, one more time we have to, that we didn't mention that mail ID of you, sir. So please keep it on screen one more time.
What? Sorry?
Mail ID is already in the chat. Sir has already put it.
I think I have shared in the chat box. It's there.
Okay, sir. Will write.
So you can send me a mail. So I will create a Google Drive, and I will share with I don't know, like where to share, how to share. Do you have any common group or anything common?
We have a WhatsApp group.
We are having a WhatsApp group.
Oh, okay, so
we will request admin to add you in that.
so then I can share the Google Drive link there, so you can collect the materials from there. So if you are coming prepared tomorrow, then we can have a proper discussion for 1 hour, because we have 1 hour for every day. So frankly saying, 1 hour is not enough for completing social psychology. So even for a single theory, it is not enough 1 hour. So we can discuss all the content in a particular unit in a way that you are asking questions, or I will explain. Is that fine?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
I have sent a mail, sir, for your ID.
Yeah. I will check. And I request you all to call me Vishnu. Not sir. Okay. Yes. That would be much better. You can call me Vishnu. And then we will see tomorrow at 12. And if you are ask your admin to add me in the WhatsApp group, so I can share the drive. Okay.
Sir, I just wanted to know, what difference does it make if we call you sir or Vishnu? Just a personal question, please.
Personal question, because sir is a kind of power term, kind of that I belongs to kind of an authority, or I have a power on you people. Don't. I don't. It's a kind of colonial term. I prefer call Vishnu than sir.
Okay, I think yeah, to make a better access. I got it. Yeah.
So can you please tell me about assignments?
No, actually, those part I am actually not aware about. That things that it is connected with the university.
Okay.
I think you have to directly contact the university.
Yeah, we have few days to submit now, so let's see.
Yeah. On this paper or any other paper?
Okay.
Yeah.
Anything else?
On this paper only, sir. On this paper, if you could help us, it will be easy to complete our assignment.
Yeah, that we can do. We can discuss that on tomorrow. Have enough time. Fine.
Okay.
Thank you, everyone. We will meet tomorrow. And
Thank you so much.
don't forget to add me in the group so I can share the link.
Thank you, Professor, Mr. Vishnu.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Should we wait in the same Zoom link, or we will get another link for another session?
We have 4 minutes.
We have to leave, I think so.
We need to leave.
Okay, fine. Sure, bye.
We have to leave this link and we have to connect another thing.
Yeah. Thank you.